Janice.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great and I'm so glad to be here with you.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. All I want to say, I hope Shevry can put up a picture because, every person of color, particularly Black women, need to be extremely proud of that building that you may or may not be in right now, but that is owned by the National Council of Negro Women, the only Black-owned institution on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., just blocks away from the U.S. Capitol. And you run the show.
Well, I have to make just a very small correction. I'm the executive director, not the CEO. Our CEO and board chair is Dr. Thelma Daly from Baltimore. Many of you are familiar with, in your audience, are familiar with her, and she's doing a great job for us. But I am the day-to-day go-to
That's what
person.
I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Titles don't matter. You know what
The
I'm saying?
titles don't, we work until we get the job done. But I
Exactly.
not just for the show, but for all the information that you have provided over the years. I've been reading the Washington Informer even before I moved to Washington about 6 years ago. I was familiar with the Washington Informer, and you're well known and beloved across the country.
I appreciate that, Janice, so much. NCNW, you all are still as busy as ever. And you just had an announcement, a global announcement. I know Pastor Weaver will be glad to hear about this too. But tell us what you all have been up to before we get to that piece of news.
You mentioned Dr. Hyde, and rightfully so. She was our leader for 50 years. I didn't know her very well, but I met her a few times, and she was just truly remarkable. One of the things that she did was make sure that NCNW was present on the continent of Africa beyond the borders of the United States. And with her transition, we sort of lost that fervor, and so we don't have those outposts in Egypt and some of the other places that we did before. But we are back. We announced last week, oh, there's our building. It's the Dorothy Irene Hyde building.
That's
We are
right.
back. We announced Trees for Hope. People may not realize, it's all about climate now. Everything is about sustainability. And one of the ways that you can sustain the environment, help clean the air, restore oxygen, provide shade, provide food, provide building materials, stabilize the shoreline against storms, is to plant trees. And so we have committed with our partner, the Arbor Day Foundation, to plant 100,000 trees before the end of this year in Senegal, Mali, and Haiti. If you're like me, you've seen in the news that Haiti continues to be beleaguered. We all have a special connection to Haiti because of its history. So in Senegal, Mali, on the west coast of Africa, as well as in Haiti, we'll be planting trees, and we invite all of our friends and members and affiliates to join us. A tree costs $1. And so we're already off to a great start. Thanks to you and other members of the Black Press, we got some pretty good notice about it last week. Thank you
Good.
again for that. And we go to our website, www.ncnw.org, if you're interested in Trees for Hope.
Janice, when it's sort of, I don't know how to say it, but when people think about the continent, particularly, we think about forests and sometimes jungles and sometimes, just undeveloped parts of the continent. I mean, those of us who've been there know that, it can be just as urban as every place else. But how is it that there's such a need for trees in these three particular countries that you all are partnering with?
Well, to be clear, forestation and deforestation is an issue across the globe, including in the United States of America. As the climate changes and becomes more devastating and abrupt, the storms are worse, the droughts are worse, that depletes the soil and that destroys the trees. And so if you can reforest, bring back the trees that are being destroyed, you have a chance to keep up with the climate as it changes.
And it's interesting because I saw a documentary last week. I think it was in South America where they planted trees in an area that had become barren, as you said. And it took less than 3 years for that, not only for the trees to come back, but also for the wildlife to come back, the birds and the fox and all the animals who've been sort of displaced because of the deforestation.
I was surprised to learn as I studied this issue and researched our partners and their work that 80% of wildlife or habitat are in forests or in trees. And so it's very important for biodiversity, very important to preserve species from going extinct, that they have a habitat, that they have a place to live. I live in Temple Hills, Maryland, and one of my favorite recreation things to do is about 7 o'clock in the evening. I go out on the porch and I see the deer grazing. Well, if the trees weren't there, they wouldn't have a habitat. And so the deer have become my friend, so to speak, especially during the pandemic. I've become the deer whisperer. But it's, we laugh about it, but just look at the forest fires on the West Coast in
Exactly.
California. Look at the floods in Kentucky. Kentucky never had that kind of weather before. That's not just punishment for Mitch McConnell. That is the climate changing. And as it changes, we're going to have to adapt and become more conscious about the environment and sustainability. It's not just somebody else's problem, because tell you the truth, wherever there is environmental degradation, generally our neighborhoods, I don't care what country they're in, what continent they're on, um, it affects our neighborhoods first and most.
So, NCNW has had, I think, a lot of issues on its table, that it's addressed over the years. So, climate change or sustainability now is this new, a new initiative for you? I know this is a new initiative, but is the um, uh, organization doing more now? Or what is the history of NCNW as it relates to environmental issues?
This is our first foray into sustainability.
Okay.
And so we are very excited about it, very enthused. We know it will make a difference. And the response that we're getting from our members in our sections across the country let us know that it's an important issue. Now, we do have a lot of issues, but we do tend to stick to the bread and butter. You're talking about financial literacy, financial health, education with a particular emphasis on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. You can't do anything if you don't have your health, whether it's physical or emotional health. For years, we were known as a leader in helping to educate people about HIV and AIDS, but that now includes all the vaccine preventable diseases, everything from polio to influenza to COVID to monkeypox. We're active in that space, and social justice, because that is the linchpin to our ability to affect the world around us. We see people making decisions, and if we want to be part of that decision making, we have to let our voices be heard.
Do you all still have college campus chapters?
We absolutely do. There are
Okay.
probably a dozen of them in the DMV.
Wonderful.
70 college sections of NCNW, and they're really some of our most active sessions in the country. Those young women do some great, and men. We have young men who join NCNW, maybe to get to know the young women who are members of NCNW.
Good
But
place.
we welcome them for whatever reason, and they do great work in terms of registering voters, educating themselves about maternal health, which is a really big issue for younger women, as you might imagine, as we see these birth rates and the maternal morbidity become a real concern for younger women. So our sections on college campuses are very, very active, and we're so proud of them.
And how are you all engaged in the midterm elections? I know that you can't, you're a nonprofit organization, so you have limitations on, you can't endorse candidates and all of that, but voter registration and what have you. Are you all doing anything in that area?
2 years ago, we started a program called Adulting 101, and it was aimed at younger potential voters to say to them, look, you want to be an adult, you want a job, you want a car, you want a house, you want a family. One of the things that adults have to do is be civically engaged. And so it was all about helping young folks spot the disinformation that sometimes creeps into the internet, helping them to understand that you have to have a number of sources of information. You need to read a good newspaper like the Washington Informer.
Thank you.
You can't rely solely on YouTube and TikTok for your information, because you may be targeted there. And so we're doing some of that work, but we're also doing plain old-fashioned vanilla voter registration. and we're doing that in 10 states around the country. You might imagine Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Michigan are some of the states where we are very active right now through our sections, without whom we could do nothing. There are 16 of us who work at 633 Pennsylvania Avenue, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real work gets done in our 330 sections around the country.
Do you all have a conference? I know that, everybody's been, because of COVID, they have not been able to gather. What's the plan for NCNW?
We're planning a virtual and on-site convention at the Washington Hilton, December 1st through the 4th. And we're excited because this will be the first time that we have gathered in person since 2018 for our convention. We only have convention every other year. We had it in 2020. We had Uncommon Height, which a lot of your listeners are probably familiar with, in 2019, and nothing on site since then. So we're very excited about coming back together and being able to greet each other. There will be safety protocols to make sure that we stay as healthy as we can and not get infected while we gather. But we are planning a convention, and we'll do business, and we'll have entertainment and shopping for speakers right now. So
all right,
that we expect registration to open the second week in September. So if you're interested, again, visit us on Facebook. You can find us on all social media at NCNWHQ. HQ is for headquarters. On Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter.
I would strongly encourage our next guest to reach out to you all, since they're so focused on home ownership, particularly as it relates to younger homeowners. I know Greg has an organization of almost 200 new homeowners in the DMV that are probably, under the age of 40. And so how they're, working together to support each other in that should be a national movement. So hopefully they'll reach out. I also want to say, and I told Pastor Weaver that as he's preparing for the Pan-African family reunion, that one of the biggest things that I missed about NCNW was the Black family reunion. That was an amazing event you all did annually. So, he's thinking, okay, well, we can still make this happen. But I thought it was a great program that you all did that brought people from all over the country to the National Mall to be family again.
And, that is probably the question I get asked most as I travel around the country on behalf of NCNW. When are you going to start back Black Family Reunion? It is a huge undertaking.
Yes.
And we're just about at the point where even if we don't do it on the mall, because there are some safety and security constraints about that these days, but to take it perhaps indoors to an indoor facility. But there are plans on the drawing board to resume the Black family reunion. And hopefully we'll do it with a bunch of partners and bring people in from all over the country, if not from the world.
Well, hopefully you can share what the Pan-African Collective is going to be doing in August to bring folks together.
When you said Black family reunion, a bell went off and I said, okay.
Wonderful. So before we go, one more time, tell us how people can support the tree project that you all have, Trees for Hope. Tell us how we can support that.
Trees for Hope, you go to our website, which is ncnw.org, and you will see a banner. And you click anywhere on that banner, and it will take you to a page that will tell you all about Trees for Hope. It's $1 per tree. You can donate $1 or you can donate $1,000. It's up to you. And for every dollar that's donated, we're not taking any cut out of it. We're sending all of that money to plant trees in Haiti, Senegal, and Mali.
Wonderful. Maybe one day someone will visit Senegal and find the National Council of Negro Women forest.
As soon as they get those little seedlings in the ground and they start to sprout, we're going to form a delegation and go visit our trees, because for one thing, you want to have accountability, correct?
Exactly.
And you want to meet the people. I want to meet the women who sit under those shade trees now and take a break from the sun and from the weather. And I want to see the women who are building houses with logs made from those trees. So yes, and you'll be on the short list to be invited to go with us when we go.
You caught my drift there. Thank you, Janice.
It's my pleasure.
All righty.
Pleasure,
If you're,
Denise.
you got a place here, anytime you all are doing anything, whatever news coming up, particularly the convention in June and December. Yeah, we want to follow up on that as well.
As a matter of fact, I will extend an invitation to you and to your audience. Africa Open for Business is a seminar that we'll be doing in September, and we'll talk about that some more maybe next time.
Oh, no, looking forward to it. Definitely. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace
Wish
and
you the
blessings.
best. Same to you. All righty.